Hello there, a very good evening and welcome to Prime TV News with me, Bhakti Abe Surya. To begin with, let's take a look at the stories making headlines this evening. The President holds discussions with Secretary General of SAARC in Kathmandu. The Prime Minister points out the government took steps to develop the country rapidly. Sri Lanka begins oil exploration in the deep sea of North and East. The Sri Lanka Freedom Party marks its 67th anniversary. In news from overseas, former Brazilian president banned from contesting in the presidential election. And now for the news in detail. First up in local news, a meeting between President Maithripala Sirisena, who is on a state visit to Nepal, and SAARC Secretary General Amjad Hassan B. Sial took place this morning at the SAARC Secretariat in Kathmandu. President Maithripala Sirisena was received warmly by the SAARC Secretary General Amjad Hassan B. Sial at the SAARC Secretariat in Kathmandu. The SAARC Secretary General said that he has identified Sri Lanka as a strong country in the SAARC organization, which was set up based on the South Asian Geographic Zone. He thanked the President for the support given by Sri Lanka to achieve objectives of the organization. The President said that the bond and cooperation between SAARC countries should be further enhanced. After the meeting, the Direct Board and the SAARC Secretary General took a group photograph with the President. The President made an entry on the special guest book at the Secretariat and made an observation tour of the premises. Meanwhile, an official meeting between President Maithripala Sirisena and Nepalese President Bidya Devi Bandari took place yesterday afternoon at the Nepalese President's house, Sheetal Niwas. The talks between them centered on the fisheries, agriculture and tourism industries with the aim of enhancing relations in those fields. After the meeting of the two state leaders, two memoranda of understanding was signed between Sri Lanka and Nepal. The Memorandum of Understanding to train public servants of Sri Lanka and Nepal was signed by Nepalese Foreign Affairs Ministry Secretary and Sri Lankan Ambassador in Nepal, W.S. Pereira. The Sri Lankan ambassador in Nepal signed the Memorandum of Understanding for Youth Development, and Nepali Sports Ministry Secretary and other partners also signed it. The President and his delegation attended a special dinner last night. Meanwhile, the President went to the Prime Minister's office in Kathmandu yesterday and held bilateral talks with Nepalese Prime Minister Khadga Prasad Oli. They paid their attention on strengthening investment and tourism industries between the two countries. They also paid their attention on activating the joint commission between the two countries and building a close cooperation. They pledged to work closely in an international arena and to work in more cooperation during regional affairs. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe has pointed out that the government took steps during the last 3 years to develop the country rapidly amid challenges and difficulties. He emphasized that the country would be made a rich nation by 2025. Launching of the development work from Bibila to Chenkaladi on the Badulla-Chenkaladi road took place under the patronage of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. The road is developed with a loan grant from Saudi Fund for Development. The road from Bibila to Chenkaladi is 87 kilometers long and 9,600 million rupees will be spent on the development activities. The Prime Minister said that construction of Padiyathalava Chenkaladi Road were launched under the Good Governance government and it would develop the tourism industry and the other sectors. The oil exploration in the deep sea of Sri Lanka's north and east commenced today. The PGP Pioneer ship, which collects the relevant geological data, launched its operations today from the Colombo harbour. The ship will engage in oil exploration for 45 days in the deep sea of north and east. It will cover an area of 10,000 square kilometers. The ceremony to launch the operation took place at the east terminal of Colombo harbour under the patronage of Minister Arjuna Ranatunga. The Mineral Oil Resource Development Secretariat under the Ministry of Mineral Resource Development implements exploration to find natural gas and oil in the Sea of Sri Lanka. The data obtained The ship will be analysed and the laboratories in Malaysia. After analysing the data by the scientists at the Mineral Oil Development Secretariat, the report is expected to be released within 18 months. $9 million will be spent on the entire project. 3 possible oil basins have been identified so far. Today is the 67th anniversary of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. Religious observances took place in many places in connection with the anniversary. Late Prime Minister SWRD Bandaranaike founded the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. Mr. Bandaranaike was the Minister of Health and Local Government of the United National Party government in 1947. Mr. Bandaranaike left the UNP and founded the Sri Lanka Freedom Party on the 2nd of September 1951. Mr. SWRD Bandaranaike, who took over the country with the five-fold forces of Sangha Vedaguru Govi Kamkaru, established a broad alliance with the Mahajana Eksat Peramuna in 1956. Mr. Bandaranaike became the Prime Minister in 1956 with a remarkable victory at the general election. The late Prime Minister Bandaranaike, who rendered an immense service to the country, was assassinated in 1959. Thereafter, Mrs. Sirimavu Bandaranaike became the leader of the party. Many public services, including setting up of the Ceylon Transport Board, People's Bank, Bank of Ceylon, and vesting with the people, the Insurance Corporation, took place during the rule of Mrs. Bandaranaike. The Sri Lanka Freedom Party also gets the honour of making Sri Lanka a sovereign state by the Republican Constitution. Mrs. Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumaranatunga, after becoming the leader of the party, established the People's Alliance with a large number of small parties. Thereafter, Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa became the chairman of the SLFP. The present era of SLFP begins under President Maithripala Sirisena. He is committed to ensuring democracy, creating financial discipline, winning over the international community, developing the country and creating reconciliation as the leader of the SLFP as well as the president of the country. The party history has recorded that this was the first time where a son of a farmer became the leader of the SLFP. Meanwhile, the Hindu religious activities in connection with the 67th anniversary of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party took place at the Kadireshan Kovil in Bambalapitiya. The Muslim religious affairs took place at the Maligawatta Jumma Mosque. The Buddhist religious observances were scheduled to take place at the Kalaniya Raja Mahaviharya this afternoon. The Christian prayer services were scheduled to be held this evening in Vennapur. President Maithripala Sirisena's 67th birthday is tomorrow. Many religious programs have been organised tomorrow in connection with his birthday. President Maithripala Sirisena has been included in the history as the political leader who took a decisive decision in the political history of the country. He was elected to Parliament as a Sri Lanka Freedom Party MP for the Polonnaruwa district in 1989 and came a long way as the Deputy Minister of Irrigation, Mahaweli Development Minister and General Secretary of the SLFP. He took oaths as the 6th Executive President of Sri Lanka on the 9th of January 2015 with a huge public mandate. Many massive programs, including the 19th Amendment to the Constitution, Right to Information Act, Murugahakanda Kaluganga Development Scheme, Ensuring Media Freedom, Grama Shakti Development Project with the aim of developing rural areas and other public benefit programs have been launched under the leadership of the President. Another significant program of the President is the project to eradicate drugs. President Maithripala Sirisena, who was appointed as the chairman of the 5th summit of the BIMSTEC State Leaders Conference in Nepal, has been able to win over the goodwill of the regional state leaders. Another phase of the Vev Dahasai Gam Dahasai development program was implemented at the Kon Katua area in Ambilipitiya. Several projects, including the development of the Kon Katua tank, will be done under the program. Renovating of the Kon Katua tank under the Vev Dahasai Gam Dahasai development program commenced under the patronage of Minister Mahinda Amaravira. Infrastructure of the area will be developed to coincide with the program. The minister distributed seeds for home gardening and organic fertilizer among the farmers. Minister Sarath Fonseca says that the human-elephant conflict should be solved before it becomes a national problem. During a discussion at the Padya Talava area to find solutions for the problem, the minister said that suitable methodologies would be applied for that. A discussion took place at the Kehellulla area in Padya Talava. Public representatives in the area, state officials and people in the area took part in the discussion. The people informed the minister about the shortcomings of the elephant fence erected in the area. Proposals were presented to find solutions to the problem. State Minister MLA M. Hizbullah says that media reports stating that 5,000 firearms which belong to the LTTE have been given to the Muslim youth in the eastern province are completely false. Issuing a statement, he has condemned the false propaganda and said that a proper investigation must be conducted into the reports. The former LTTE leader in Barasa Kandasamy has levelled the accusation during a media briefing recently held by the rehabilitated Liberated Tiger Party. State Minister Hizbullah has rejected the allegations that he and Minister Rishad Badiuddin purchased the firearms belonging to the LTTE and given to the Muslim youth in the eastern province. His statement says that anti-government racist elements are behind such accusations and they expect to create another war situation by provoking people through such statements. He has said that it is essential to conduct an extensive investigation by the Ministry of Law and Order in connection with the incident. Chairman of the Gem and Jewellery Authority, Peshala Jayaratna, says that all steps will be taken to develop the gem industry. He said this while launching a streamlined process to issue permits for gem mines. The permits were issued on concessionary terms considering it is a cottage industry. About 500 permits have been issued yesterday at the Bakamuna Public Market. It took place under the patronage of Chairman of the Gem and Jewellery Authority, Peshala Jayaratna. Speaking on the occasion, he said that a new identity card will be made available to the miners in the future. With that, we wrap up our today's edition of Prime TV News. For details of these stories and for more, you can log on to our website www.itnews.lk. Thank you for joining me. Bye for now and have a pleasant evening.